So y'all, I've been seeing these tacos all over social media and I needed to try them. I live nowhere near California, New Mexico. There's no taco place around here that makes these specific tacos. So I decided to go ahead and try to make them myself. So if you want to see how I recreated this recipe, stay tuned. So here is a quick visual of what you will need. I will list all the ingredients down below with the measurements. You will need these dried peppers. You see the name, I cannot pronounce them. And you also can use dried New Mexico chilies. I found mine at Nino Savacchio's. They also had them at Myers. So you want to de-seed your peppers. You want to do just like I'm doing, break them open and get all your seeds out. I will be using 12 peppers in my recipe and then an additional amount of peppers I will show you later to make my chili oil. But all you do here is open up the peppers and let the seeds fall right out. Before we go any further, I do want to say I took my chuck roast and just cut it up in cubes. There's no rhyme or reason to it. You can cut it as big or as little as you want, or you can just opt out of cutting it all together and just brown the whole chuck roast. I did season it with just some salt and pepper and a little bit of garlic powder, but I kept it real simple with this. So browning your chuck roast is optional. You don't have to do this. You can actually add it right to the water that you will see in the next clip. But I like to brown my meat. It gives it a deeper depth of flavor. Now here I am using my cast iron skillet. I have a little bit of canola oil in there and it's at a medium high temperature. And I'm going to just brown all sides of my meat. I'm not going to cook it thoroughly. I'm not trying to cook it here. I'm simply just browning all sides before I add my meat to my pot of water. So I already had my pot of water on the stove. This is a very big pot with about 20 cups of water in there. I'm just going to add my meat and this is going to be the actual start of the soup. So this taco recipe is actually a soup that you take the meat out, shred it, and then use the soup as a dipping sauce. Here you see I'm adding the vegetables to the pot as well. I just added the carrots, the green onions. Here you see I'm adding a whole garlic. I chopped the top off, peeled it. I'm adding a whole onion chopped in half right now. I used 3 tablespoons worth of bouillon cubes. And here I'm adding the bone broth. The authentic recipe calls for beef bones, but I didn't have that. I added the chilies that you see here. It's about 12 of them in there and about 10 whole bay leaves. Now I'm gonna let this all cook together for an hour and I'm gonna come back and check to see how things are going. So it's been about an hour or a little bit more, and you can see here that the chilies that are dried have rehydrated themselves while boiling. So we're going to actually remove all 12 out and we're going to put these in a blender to blend them down to a very smooth puree consistency that we will add back to our soup to give it that nice red vibrant color. When you're blending your chilies down, make sure to use a little bit of this soup broth in the blender, and be very careful because this is very, very hot. So make sure you put your safety first. So now that we added the pureed chilies back to our soup, we're going to let this go now for however long it takes for your meat to get nice and tender. You want to mix it all together well. At this point, you can see majority of the water has evaporated down, and just let this go until your meat is tender. So guys, we're almost there. You see this has reduced down about another inch or so in the pot. You can see how flavorful it is, how tender the meat looks, but the meat is not yet there. We're going to let this go for a little bit more, maybe about 30 to 45 minutes longer to get that meat really tender. So let's prepare the chili oil. This is all optional. You do not have to do this, but it adds such a great depth of flavor to your tacos and the soup. You're going to heat up some oil. I use canola oil, about a cup. You're going to de-seed some more of those dried chili peppers. You're going to chop one of them up and put them into this oil and let the oil infuse the chili flavors. You're not going to cook them too long. You're going to then remove them, and this is the base of our chili oil. These are all the seasonings I'm using with the chili oil. I did try to grind up 4 chili peppers in my coffee grinder, but it did not work. This should be a fine powder, but it still turned out very good. And this also have other seasonings in it that I will list in the description box below for you to follow. But this was so good. So I thought I was recording, but I wasn't, so you didn't get to see me take the meat out. But I have started to shred my beef. You can go through with a knife and just shred it, chop it up a little bit, and get it ready to start assembling your tacos. So you're going to make sure you got a nice hot pot. You're going to dip your tortilla. You can use flour or corn. I'm using flour, and you're going to stick it right in that nice hot pot. Dip it in there and let it get nice and warm. Fluff up a little bit as you see here. Now you're going to add mozzarella cheese. You add as much as you want or as little. We like it cheesy over here, so we're going to add a ton of cheese. To that, we will put the shredded beef on top of there. And optional, you can add your red onion and cilantro right into your taco, and you can just sit back and watch and see the variety of ways I made it. So here you have it. You got your tacos. You cannot forget the lime. You want to squeeze some lime on there. We cannot forget that chili oil. I just put it in a jar. You're going to get your tacos that's gooey and ooey with cheese. You're going to dip it right in that soup there. And when I tell you these tacos are the bomb, they were so good. I hope you follow this recipe and try it out. So y'all, the next day I just made me a bowl of soup. I sprinkled some mozzarella cheese, cilantro, red onions, and chili oil on it. And I fried me up a tortilla, cut it in triangles. And when I tell you, it was amazing.